The second question relates to something a couple of you touched on. We have 55 so-called independent agencies in the federal government, and their independence has been challenged by this administration, from the NLRB to public broadcasting, the FTC, the FCC. Does that need to be reined in? And if so, how? Or should the executive have more control over these agencies?
Thank you for that question. Independent agencies are just that, independent. But that being said, they need strong oversight and they need accountability. What I am very concerned about right now is what our president is, he is our president, but we don't need to claim him, doing to these independent agencies. Let's take the Department of Education, for example. What is going to happen if we lose that department and that department loses its rights, its privileges, and its freedoms? What is going to happen to the kids in our special needs and disability classrooms? Where is that funding going to come from? We really need to make sure that these organizations are able to do their job, but do it being accountable to the people who are paying their tax dollars to keep them in those seats.
We have never seen these independent agencies be influenced by partisanship politics. And that is why infrastructurally, it's okay, just kidding. That is why infrastructurally they exist the way that they do. So an example is the defunding of PBS and NPR, right? Public Broadcasting Station and National Public Radio. This administration wants to ensure that they have a generation of people, which includes all of us, who do not know how to read beyond the headline and who do not know how to critically think. It is all intentionally done and documented in Project 2025, and independent agencies that exist within our levels of government should not be impacted and or influenced based on who has control of the executive branch. That is also unconstitutional, and there's a reason why we have this infrastructure in place right now.
First, they came for the Inspector General. You know, this is very systematic. This administration has removed the Inspector General from every agency. This is hard-fought, hard-learned jurisprudence that we need people in these agencies. They're the first vanguard for protecting their independence from corruption. And we've also seen the assault on the Justice Department. Its independence, its ability to then hold those agencies and those in them accountable to the law. We have never seen the level of corruption that we have today in this administration. What we're seeing on the streets is the tip of the iceberg. Who you send to Congress for the next 2 years has to have the ability to provide oversight and accountability. One, I'm the only lawyer up here. Two, I'm the only FBI agent.
This is Evanston, so a lot of people know about these independent agencies, but let's be real, a lot of folks don't. They don't even know about the corruption that's happening inside our government. And a lot of that is because, yes, everything is being torn and burned down, but a lot of it wasn't working that great before. The status quo was far from perfect. When we are talking about independent agencies, we need to talk about a Marshall Plan for the federal government, for all federal agencies. We are the wealthiest country in the world, and if we want to see actual results from any of these departments to make the American people care, this means that we actually need to invest in them so they can do their job, so they can protect workers, so they can improve education for children, so they can ensure that Americans are healthy. I feel like we have approached, since Ronald Reagan, all of these issues with a defeatist outlook, with austerity measures when they're not necessary. In reality, if we want to get out of this in any way, we need to invest in people rather than whatever the hell we're doing now with billionaires. That's not taxing them currently.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, the Kennedy Center, which I'm going to still call that, is a kind of headline-grabbing example. What's going on with the Fed right now is very, very dangerous to the American and global economy. And so what we need is a Congress that takes seriously its oversight responsibility, that takes seriously the separation of powers that are built into our structure of government, and that's prepared to say no. That's prepared to say no and hold the administration to account. So listen, it's going to be in the weeds. I think Kat is right. A lot of these questions are not necessarily rising to the front page of the paper, but this systematic effort to brick by brick dismantle the core of how our government is supposed to work has got to be stopped, and it's got to be stopped by Congress. It needs to be stopped by a Congress that is courageous, by a Congress that is relentless, and a Congress that doesn't bow down to anyone. I'm running to be a leader in that Congress to make sure that we hold these guys accountable and rebuild a working government.
Yeah, it needs to be stopped by Congress, but we've got to have the people in Congress to be able to stop them, and we are not there. All right? This is kind of a softball for me in terms of which independent agency I think is the biggest problem. It is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It sounds kind of geeky and wonky, but I don't think people understand how important it is. It's like driving your car at night without the lights on. It affects not just labor, jobs, employment, but interest rate setting, supply and demand factors. It's the data card, the information that the entire world economy relies on. So if you want to know what I think we need to do is we absolutely need independence of that agency. It is connected to the Fed because that's also important, but the Fed at least has a group of governors and different presidents, so it's a little harder to gain control of it. But what happened to the BLS, the fact we have our information either delayed, coming out, or not properly funded so that the data is accurate, it's a huge problem in the economy. It's costing us all money.